So I had a conversation. Oh, hey, there it is, with my good friend Sue Gazansky, and about our next speaker. And we were talking for a while because I wanted to get to the heart of it, the spine of the story. And we went through her accolades, and I watched a presentation she gave at my alma mater. Well, not CMC. I was across the street at Pitzer, but you know, I looked at her resume and I said, why is she a volleyball person after being a finalist for the Wade Trophy that's given to the NC2A best player? Why, after winning two Big Ten championships, oh, I'm mixing it up. Those were volleyball. After having a professional career in basketball, I mean, certainly she's a great volleyball player. She was MVP of her team. She did win those two Big Ten championships in volleyball. So how did we get to this place? And Sue said, "Funny you should ask. We recently discussed that." And what she explained was that when our next speaker got done with her professional basketball career, she needed a job, and she needed it pretty badly. So she knew one thing, though. The one thing she didn't want to do was be a coach. But as a humanities major will provide you opportunity, that coupled with the fact that she had had an extensive career in top level performance athletics, the only thing she was suited for was coaching. So she found herself as the head volleyball coach, and the rest is history. Sue joked that the biggest losers were probably our next speaker's bank account and basketball. I want to make sure I get this part right. Fast forward to her achievements as a national team advisor, a coach, a leader, an executive, a speaker, and it would appear that we have the limitations of a humanities degree to thank for creating our volleyball's Donna Lopiano. Let's all welcome Kathy DeBoer.
Thanks, John. Actually, what I told Sue was when I realized the only thing I was qualified or able to get a job in was coaching, I applied for both basketball and volleyball coaching jobs. And if I would have gotten a job coaching basketball today, I would be a millionaire. Instead, I'm here with you. And glad about it, you can tell. So, what I'd like to start with today is I'd like to read from an essay, just a couple of paragraphs. I write a column for the AVCA magazine called Coaching Volleyball, but my column is called Our Game, and it's a nice thing for a humanities major to be able to do because it lets me scratch my writing itch. And write about observations that I have about our sport. And so some of what I will read to you here is what stimulated what I wanted to talk to you about. I went to Japan in 2015 to celebrate the founding of the Japanese Volleyball Coaches Association. My host was Sei Kawabe, their executive director and a student of coaching. We talked extensively about the evolution of volleyball coaching methods. The first style either of us could remember mimicked the Japanese, the most successful teams in the 1960s and 70s. The methods included long training hours, endless repetition of basic skills, rigid hierarchy, and authoritarian rule by coaches. I experienced some of this style in the 1970s from American disciples of the Japanese. Knowing that I possessed a penchant for this autocratic style, even though I chafed at it as a player, I swore off coaching as a professional option for a number of years. The second stage in our evolution, we decided, was the tactical and technical sophistication ushered in by then USA men's coach Doug Beal. The dominance of the American men during the 1980s launched this transition to a more cerebral style marked by player specialization and the touch-by-touch statistical analysis that is standard today at the high levels of play, in which you've heard shared by several of our presenters. Say is convinced that the third wave is upon us, what he calls culture coaching. The focus is creating and sustaining a team dynamic built on trust, emotional stability, shared accountability, and commitment by all to the success of the group over the individual. We see it in John Sprague, we see it in Karpol, and we see it in the top coaches in all divisions. Our shared evolution has taken us from a struggle to control our team through a time of detached supervision of our team to today's social contract requiring that we connect with our team. Each phase demands a higher level of emotional intelligence, challenging us to improve ourselves first and foremost. So this would be a visual of this evolution where we have, I left the first one out here, but coaching started as a player coach, somebody who was just one of the team members, and you just put the lineup in. And the ones that Say and I were talking about, then it became the coach, the trainer, then the coach, the analyst, and today, the coach, the facilitator. And so I want to show you two coaches here. One of them is in the FIVB International Hall of Fame for coaching. So, Mayo, could you roll the video? That's the one. His name is Nikolai Karpol, and he was the coach of the Russian, Soviet Union, and then the Russian women's team for many, many years. And his nickname was the Howling Bear. And anyone who had ever been to an international match where he was coaching knew who the Howling Bear was, because he was so loud, and this is what he did in every timeout. And so the crowd would just wait. We would sit there in anticipation, and he would stay calm for a few sentences, and then off he went. And the crowd would boo him, but one of the things I always used to look at was what was the body language of his players and how was this happening. But that was Karpol. Now, how do we get to Karai and Sprague and you and me? So what I'd like you to do is I would like you to write down here, just on your own, turn this piece of paper over actually with the squares on it and write on the back of it. And I want you to write down 3 things that make you angry. And if you say, well, I never get angry, then go ahead and say frustrated, if that word works for you better. And if you don't ever get frustrated or angry, you're a damn liar. Or you're not coaching. So 3 things. First, 3 things that happen in volleyball that make you angry. Okay, shouldn't take you long. Most of us know pretty much. All right, somebody give me one. Yeah. Pardon? Balls dropping. Another one. Missed serves. Another one. Lack of effort. How many of you have that one down, by the way? Ho! Yeah. Bad attitude. How many of you have that one? All right. Selfishness. How about that one? You? Okay, what else? Unbelief. Okay. No accountability. Talent that could give a damn. She said it nicer. Inconsistent officiating. There was only one person who said it, Joni. There was only one, and I'm sure it was on your list also. Not following instructions. I told you once, I've told you 100 times. Lack of communication. Okay, now here's the next question for you. How does your team know that you are angry? Okay, give it to me. How does your team know that you're angry? Your facial expression. Turn around and give it to them. Stand up, turn around and give it to them. All right? Pretty clear. How does your team know that you're angry? You give them the silent treatment. Oh, she's sitting down. We are in trouble. How does your team know that you're angry? Anybody else? Okay, the clipboard goes down. Smash. Okay? Throwing things. You tell them. What do you say? Hey, come on. That's... Yeah, no, I understand, but I don't believe the tone, all right? Could we have it a little bit more authentic? Okay, so we talked about body language this morning, all right? And she's going, hey guys, I'm pretty angry. Okay, so what's the dog doing? The dog's running up to you and going, oh, I love you, because you don't sound very angry. So you can really do it like with a smile and go, hey, I'm loving you guys, but I'm, yeah, okay, all right, she can pull it off. So she tells them, all right, how else does your team know you're angry? Oh, that's a beauty. Yeah, absolutely. So give me just a good one. Good. Give us a good example. Oh, yeah, perfect pass. Oh, good. Yeah, way to go, team. Boy, are we doing well, aren't we? My team told me one time that they would vastly prefer me screaming at them than being sarcastic with them in the locker room. That was way worse. All right, so we've hit that one. How else? How does your team know that you're angry? Kick them out of the gym. You're out of here. You don't deserve to be in here. Bye-bye. What else? Throwing a trophy in the lake. Yeah, that one will work. For about 5 seconds, but how else? You take deep breaths, okay? So she's breathing hard, you guys. Look out. She's breathing hard. You start arguing with the team? Okay, all right. So we start going after each other. Oh, the old mom thing. Yes, Kathleen Joy. Yeah, all right. So you call them by their last names. Ms. Smith, can I speak with you? Okay, good. All right. So your team knows when you're angry. You know what makes you angry. So now what we're going to talk about is this. Do you have grit? I didn't make this one up. I saw it on NPR, but I don't remember who I saw it from. But grit is simply this: guiding rage into teaching. Pretty cool, huh? And it takes two things. It's about two things. We talked about them very, very briefly the night the trophy went in the river. Okay? One of the things it takes is knowledge, and there's no shortcut for that. We're going to spend most of our time talking about the second thing. So now I would like you to turn your papers back over, and you're going to see I'm going to take you through just the beginnings of some things around emotional intelligence. All right? This is stuff that you can study as hard as you study technique and can take an extensive amount of time that we don't have here. But what I'd like to do is just stick our toe in it and look at some things, look at some ways, some tools that are useful in this. business and industry and education have been looking at ways to hire people for a long time. How can we look at some things that would say, are you suitable for a particular job? All right? And there was an index that was developed based on lots and lots of research saying that most of us are a combination of 4 different ways of behaving. All right? So this is behavior. We're not talking about values. We're not talking about, it's the place to stop. We're not talking about your values in life. We're just talking about what can we observably see about how you behave, and look at some different ways that a lot of people fall into categories where one of these or 2 of them are more predominant than others. And so I would like you to look at this. You've got the 4 squares there in the top, all right? And I'm going to give you your conditioning philosophy. If you had to choose one of these that most closely mirrors your conditioning philosophy, put a CP in the box. And I'll let you read them. And if you're right between 2 of them, if you're in the middle on all of them, I would doubt it, but go ahead and circle the middle. But see if you can pick one. Which one is you? Yeah, physical conditioning, all right? When you're in the weight room with your team or you're doing conditioning as part of your practices, what are you all about? Everybody got it? Okay, let's go to the next one here. Your team has a team chemistry problem, all right? It just is tension on the court. You can feel it. You can see it. Maybe you can hear it, all right? So put a TP in the box that most closely matches how you would deal with a team chemistry problem. Got it? TP, yeah, team problem. And that part of it's really not important. It's just to identify the different issues. All right, here's the last one. My reaction to multiple losses in a row. All right, my team has dropped multiple matches in a row. What's your most likely reaction? And here, let's put an ML, multiple losses. Okay, so what I asked you is 3 different behavioral questions. How do what's your most likely way to behave if these are problems on your team? And so now what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you some coaches that I know are exemplars of each of these different quadrants, all right? The red quadrant in the corner that's got a D in it is the director group, all right? And in case you don't know these folks, this is Kevin Hambley, who just went from Illinois to Stanford. Nina Mathis, who spent, over 30 years in the chair at Pepperdine and is now coaching their beach team. Mick Haley, who is at USC and has also been at Texas, has also coached the women's national team. So director types, all right? The people who are director types. And what this is the people who are high in as a director type the red is how do you approach problems, right? What is your style if there is a problem? And if you're high in this director style, your problem solving is charge. Okay? If there's a problem, fix it. Dive into it. Go after it. These people are risk takers. These people will challenge athletes. These people are frequently the ones that get in kids' faces. They want accountability, and they're going to express it loudly. Let me give you an example with Mick of how he showed me that he was a director style. In 2006, beach volleyball was what a politician in Kentucky would call, well, he says, the politician in Kentucky says that a vision without funding is a hallucination. Okay. So beach volleyball was a hallucination. There was no such thing in college. We held a meeting at the convention and had a bunch of coaches come, and Leonard Armato came in, and Mick came in and sat right down here in the front row. And as Leonard, who runs the AVP, was discussing the benefits of beach and everything else, Mick, at every stage, was going, that's not right. No, that's not going to work. No, that's a bad idea. No, that's going to be wrong. Okay? Then beach volleyball was put on the emerging sports list for women by the NCAA. USC, where Mick was coaching, was the first team to announce, the first school to announce they were going to have a team. Okay? So first you got the problem, you try and knock the problem down, then it looks like it's going to happen. How can I make it an advantage for USC? I'm in. Okay? Example of a high D problem solver. Now, a low D problem solver, a low director style, is going to be a style that's going to be much more, we got a problem, hey, let's wait and see. Let's not do anything rash here. Okay, so when I asked you what would you do over multiple losses, the D is like, hey, fix it! You know, practice harder, change the drills, change the lineup, substitute people, get after it, fix it. Okay? The low D, you know, hey, let's not panic here. All right. Okay, the yellow is what we call an influencer. All right? And how you grade in the influencing style is how do you deal with people. People who are high influencers, Hugh McCutcheon, Ann Cordes, who just left Louisville, Mary Wise at Florida. People who are high in the influencing style manage issues and problems and situations through people. We can fix anything if we have a chance to gather and talk about it. Right? These are the talkative people. These are the charismatic people that are leading the discussions, that are saying, well, if we just can have dialogue, we can fix anything. These are the team meeting people. We're going to get together. We're going to talk it out. Right? So if the director style, I'll give you for each of these people also what is our default emotion. In other words, what's the emotion that wells up the quickest? Not that we act on it, but that it comes up the quickest. For the D's, it's anger. All right? The default emotion is anger. Now, it doesn't mean you act on it, but the default emotion is, okay? For the I's, the default emotion is optimism. Okay? We can fix anything. We can fix that. We can do this. We can do this together. I know we're playing against Penn State. I know they're better than us in 5 out of 6 rotations, but we can win, team. Here's how we're going to win. Okay? So there's a little I in every volleyball coach, right? There better be. Because you're putting together a game plan at times against a team that you know is going to kick your butt. Because there's no way that you've got the talent to beat them, and yet you can't go in the locker room and go, okay, we're going to have a lot of fun today. Let's just remember we're going to enjoy the process and everything else, because your team's going to go, okay, you think we're going to get killed, don't you, coach? All right? No, you bring in the same game plan that you bring the team that you're real competitive with, or the team that you're going to keep the crap out of. You bring them a game plan. If we do these things, we're going to win. So there's a little I in every coach. Optimism here. The people who are low end on this, all right, the people who are high I's fix anything with people. The people who are low I's, do we have to deal with people? Okay, the next one are supporters, all right? These are people, Christy Johnson Lynch, Iowa State in the middle. Marv Dunphy here at Pepperdine. Jason Watson, who was at Arizona State and is now at Arkansas. All right? These are people that are most comfortable in a role, being facilitators, bringing people together. And the green is how do we deal with pace? All right? How do we deal with the pace of things? So if the red is how do we deal with problems, and the yellow is how do we deal with people, green will test how do you deal with pace. And if you are a stay the course, if you are a steady operator, these are the best teammates. These are the best people to have as friends because they're taking care of other folks. They're going to play whatever role is needed. They're going to take on the situation where they can be of the best service. It's not going to be about them. It's how it's going to be about how I can make this situation work better. Their default emotion is no emotion. Okay? So a high supporter person, you don't know if they're mad. You don't know if they're sad. You don't know if they're glad. Because they're impassive in their demeanor, in their appearance. Now, their stomach isn't, but you can't see that. Okay? So somebody who's just really, they're usually quiet. They're usually not the first person to throw their hand up and answer something. They're thoughtful. People who are low on this trait like things to move very quickly. They're emotional. They wear their emotions on their sleeve. You can tell immediately, did you get the look? Are they mad? She's grinning. Now she's happy. All right? She's sad or whatever, you tell right away. They wear it right on the outside. People who are low in this area, and they like to go real fast. So you have the highs and the lows there. How many of you have seen the movie Hidden Figures? Okay, if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a movie about African American women living in Virginia during the NASA program, and they were called computers. And what they were is they were women who did complex mathematical calculations on adding machines, basically. Not totally by hand, but with nothing more than an adding machine, and they were called computers. Right? And so the blues here, as a style, as a behavior, is a, so it's not a machine, but it's somebody who likes to compute. Right? Somebody who looks at analytics. So we got Keegan, we got Long Ping, Jesse Mahoney, who's the coach right now at Colorado. All right? And Keegan gave us some insight into this several times throughout his presentation. Remember, he started with, well, you know, I'm a math guy, and so I just like statistics a whole lot. You know, and then gave us a ton of them. All right? So this is how do you deal, people who are blues, is how do you deal with procedures and data? How do you deal with numbers? Sometimes we refer to the computers as the smartest people in the room. Because they're going to look and analyze stuff, and their default emotion is caution. Because they aren't going to make a decision until they're pretty certain that they've got the data they need to make the decision. All right? So there's a couple, I've picked out just some things that we say very, very frequently that would be a saying that would identify each of these behavioral styles, okay? For the red, It would be winning's not everything, it's the only thing. You remember that? That's a red, okay? It's like, hey, it is all about the result, and the result has to be winning, okay? For the influencers, it's going to be, hey, don't sweat the details, right? Influencers are people who have a hard time with the little details part of things, right? Big picture, people, we can figure it out. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the details. Okay? For the supporters, the saying would be, stay calm and keep coaching. All right? You've seen those signs. And the last one, Keegan actually gave to us this morning. What gets measured gets managed. What gets managed gets done. Okay? People who are really low here in this particular behavioral trait think that rules are guidelines. Okay? I know it says no parking, but I'm not actually parking here. I'm going to put my car here with the flashers on so that I can run in here a minute and get a few things, and then I'll be right back out. Okay? That's a low computer. All right? That is a low computer. High computer, no way. All right. So here's kind of the traits we've talked about here. If you're a director, you're a risk taker, challenger, you're decisive, you're impulsive. If you're an influencer, you're trusting, enthusiastic, convincing, flexible, talkative. If you're a supporter, you're stable, sincere, predictable, quiet, pragmatic. And if you're a computer, you're analytical, diplomatic, systematic, accurate. Okay, so quick story. My husband is a computer. I am an influencer. We had a task of driving a truck from Lexington, Kentucky to Seattle, Washington, the third week of December for our convention a couple of years ago. And I convinced him to go with me because as an influencer, I said, well, honey, it's not that far, all right? It's about 1,400 miles, okay? And so I came home the next night and he said, it's 2,100 miles. I said, well, okay, we're going to go to the Division II championship in Iowa, in Des Moines, Iowa, on our way. We'll do that for 2 days ahead, and that's about halfway. So we'll be halfway. So we get to split it up. And he came back the next day and he said, Des Moines, Iowa is 700 miles from here. Seattle is 2,100 miles. That's not halfway. So the next, I said, well, it'll be all right. It's supposed to be nice. I looked at the weather. The average temperature in Montana at that time of year is 2. I said, it'll be an adventure. Okay, so that's how an influencer and a computer somehow stay married for 31 years. I'm still not sure how, and neither is he. All right. All right, so what we've done is we've studied coaches. We have data. We've actually, given what's called a DISC assessment. We call it a coaching behavioral profile. And we've given it to over 100 coaches, which I will tell you is still, for all of you statisticians here, all you computers, it's like, boy, that's a small sample. You are correct. It is a small sample, all right? But we looked at female volleyball coaches and male volleyball coaches, and we found they're pretty close in terms of the numbers that are directors, all right? I will tell you that in the general population, the number of directors is about 18%. So, maybe not surprising, people who choose coaching are about twice as likely as the general population to be in this director category. Influencers, you see the women a little bit higher than the men, pretty close on the supporters, and the men a little bit higher than the women as computers. All right? Then we also looked at college and youth coaches. And here, I think the most interesting thing that we found is very little difference. All right? Very little difference until you get to the computers, and you experienced it all weekend here. All right? Those who are working at the college level and have access to all of these different tools and to people to manage and analyze the tools have a much more of an opportunity, and so we see them gravitating to computers. All right, now, this is kind of a so what until we can look at what our athletes are like. And on the handout I gave you, you've got some of the characteristics. Let me find them here. Yeah, I didn't actually transcribe these into the boxes, but you've got them here. So your director type of athlete shows competitiveness, is fiery, displays anger, wants the last swing, takes risk, talks back, yells at teammates. All right, if you go, oh boy, that's Susie. Okay, that's Bob. Yeah, all right, so they're not hard to pick out. They're not hard to pick out. And a lot of times what I would guard you against, coaches, we think we love these kids until they're yelling back at us. And they will. Or until they're yelling at a supporter who we really need to play great, and she folds up, okay? So be careful about, just because you're a director, that you want a lot of directors on your team. You want a couple, you don't want a ton. Okay, then the influencers, these are the kids that are leading the cheers, they plan the team outings, they cut up in practice, they're the jokesters. They don't like tension, right? We can solve everything if we can just get along. People, let's all talk, okay? These may be kids that make the decision to lose rather than get in somebody's face, or the accountability part, okay? It's like, hey, she's my friend. I'm not going to get on her. I want to get along with her. Right? These folks make friends easily, and these are the kids that are sleeping in the scouting report. Okay, because that's details. Oh, all these details. You coaches get so into those numbers and everything else. Oh, when does this end so that we can go get something to eat? Okay, the supporters, as I said, are the great teammates. They pick up towels. They bring water bottles to other kids. They're quiet and unemotional. They will run from conflict. So if you are the one screaming at them, or somebody on the court is the one screaming at them, they will not perform, guaranteed. All right? They will fold up shop. And the neat thing about coaching the supporter kids is, how many of you like to coach kids that every day when they walk in, you know what you're going to get? That's the supporters, all right? They don't have these emotional highs and lows. Now, again, they may be feeling a lot of things internally, but you're not going to see it. Okay, the computers, these are the kids that are always asking questions. They're the ones that know the scouting report and are telling the setter, no, we're in this, you're, telling the other kid, over here on serve receive. No, we're out of rotation. And then what does the down official do, Donnie? No, the down official does this. No, I think we're fine. Yeah. All right, cheap shot. Well, this was my only one. No chance. Anyway, so they love statistics, they love data, and they will stay a lot to themselves, all right? The computers are the ones that when there's a big play and the influencer want everybody to get in the middle and hug, right? Okay, and the computers are like, do we have to do that? Is that necessary? Let's just get on. They're in this rotation here, and they score a lot of points in this rotation, and we should get on with it, okay? Yeah, so they're the ones that are, don't touch me, okay? So what with the kids, what do they need? The directors, they need to win. And so they want to be challenged, and the results for them is key. The influencers, they need to enjoy what they're doing. These are the kids that quit when it's not fun anymore. The key is the relationship with their teammates, with you. The supporters need to feel like they're accepted, all right? These are the tender-hearted helpers. And so if they feel like they're not part of the group, and what they need is they need routine. You will drive a supporter crazy by changing things all the time. And the computers, they need to feel like they're getting better. Is something happening in the gym that's making them better? And what they want from you is they want clarity, they want specifics. And so here's what we found out in testing. We've got a lot more data on kids, still a small sample, but we've got almost 1,000. Now these happen to all be female teenage volleyball players that we've had in different programs where we've had a chance to test them. I really want to get into testing of some of the boys and stuff. We just haven't had enough of them engaged in our programs yet to do it. But yeah, okay, so volleyball coaches, I took all the data I gave you before and just averaged it. 33% of us are drivers, only 22% of the kids. All right, so there's a little disconnect there. With the kids, with the players, 47% of them are influencers compared to only 28% of coaches. So I give you these are averages, right? But I give you these because these can be areas where there can be some pain points. Okay? I'm going to leave you with two quotes. Mary Jo Pepler is coaching club volleyball now. She also coached at the University of Kentucky. She coached at Sul Ross State. She coached at Utah State. And she said something in a clinic that I was doing with her, and it was probably back 15 or 16 years ago, but it was such an impactful statement that I have never forgotten it. The only reason a coach gets angry is because they don't know how to fix what is going wrong. If you knew how to fix it, why wouldn't you just tell them? When I heard that, I thought, you have just indicted my entire coaching career. But if you check the times that you get angry, the things that are causing you stress, they act like they don't care. Well, I tell you right now, nobody comes and plays on a volleyball team because they don't care. They act like they don't want to win. Nobody comes and plays in a competitive event with a scoreboard on the wall if they don't care about winning. But are they distracted by something else? Is the distraction you? Possibly. Is the distraction something else? And so that our job is, number one, there is no substitute for knowledge. How do we fix something? Why is a kid hitting the ball out of bounds? Why are there arm swing problems? Why is she a goofy footer? Well, why has team chemistry broken down? What's happening on a motivational level? Why did we lose 3 matches in a row? All right? If we know how to fix it, there's no reason for us to get angry. We work at fixing it. And if it doesn't fix it, what do? We work at the next thing at fixing it. Okay? So that's about the knowledge that we need. This next one was said by Doug Beal. How many of you played volleyball? Okay? How many of you are pretty good? Oh, come on. Now all the modesty comes out. How many of you are pretty good? Yeah. It is unusual for an exceptional player to transition into being a special coach. Okay, so almost the better you were as a player, the harder it will be for you to transition into being a coach. They often have to sacrifice some of their own personality to do what's best for the team. Okay? So if you think about it, if you go back to your playing days, and you think about the things, not the skills, not your height or your ability to hit it hard or whatever, but all these things, these intangibles that we love to think that we had so much of when we were players. And believe me, memory dies quickly, okay? So we think of all these intangibles that we had as a player, and many of them, competitiveness, drive, work hard in practice every single day. Okay, most of the time it's a lie. Go ask somebody who you played for, and they'll tell you, hey, get over yourself. You weren't like that. All right, but we think we were. All those things that we had as players are frequently negatives when we go into a coaching role. Okay? And the easier that things came to us physically, the more harder we have to work at learning how to teach it to kids, adults, boys, girls, men, women, for whom it does not come easily. So if we could do it, we think, hey, when I first started coaching, an athlete asked me, I'm saying, you need to develop your line shot, hit the ball down the line. She says, how do I do it? I said, set me a ball. Boom, like that. Okay? And she said, well, how did you do that? I said, oh, well, watch. Okay. Boom. Just like that. Okay. I'm still not sure that I've got it. Okay? So I couldn't tell her how I did it. If she couldn't figure it out from a visual model, I didn't know. She says, well, what did you do with your arm? I said, hit the ball down the line. Well, how did you make it go that way? Is you hit it that way. Okay? Right, so I told you how I got my first coaching job, right? I didn't get a basketball coaching job, okay? So what did I know? Nothing. So those who actually studied the game as a player, maybe because things didn't come very easily to you, or maybe because you weren't a starter some of the time, those people actually have a leg up when they go into coaching because they know more about how to teach the sport. So when there's a typo in there, I got it. When your athletes see you, what do they see? Anger? Meh. Nothing? And just look at body languages here. Thank you. What questions do you have? Okay, so the question is, with high influencers, all right, or high eyes, what's the best approach? Well, you've got some of it here. People have talked about it and stuff. That it has to be fun. It can be hard, but it has to be engaging and fun. And, okay, so we didn't talk about this very much, but this is the role for us is to move ourselves and the players that we coach into spaces where I think the way that it's usually said is can be comfortable being uncomfortable, okay? So one of the things that you might do with eyes, all right, is, all right, what I want you to do is I want you to feel like, do you have a D on your team too? Okay, so, we're going to role play here, okay? What's the I's name? Katie, what's the D's name? Lauren, okay. Katie, I want you to act like Lauren. Lauren, I want you to act like Katie. So get them to try and act like the other so that they can feel what it feels like in the other. Get them, you may do drills. There's a coach, Gene Benson, in South Dakota, and South Dakota is one of the AVCA affiliate states, and Gene Benson is going to do a series. Now I've really committed her. She's kind of committed to this, but she's going to do a series of articles for us about drills where you can have kids practice acting in different ways, being in different behaviors, so that you can teach them to appreciate the value of the role that the driver, the influencer, the computer, and the supporter brings to the team by playing into those. And eyes will love that kind of stuff because it's people, it's engaging. Oh, isn't this fun? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the question is there a particular style that has a higher propensity or would have a higher proportion of success? We don't know. And I'm talking about volleyball, and we're trying to study by position. You know, is there certain styles that would be optimal for setters? And then even if we decide there is, what are we going to do with it? So really what we found is that the style of the player or the coach, and the reason that I was very intentional about showing you elite coaches in all styles, is that the style of the coach is not the issue. It is, what does the coach do with the behavioral strengths and weaknesses that they have? Do they recognize them? If I'm a D and my default emotion is anger, do I know when I'm starting to get angry? Can I feel it? That's what emotional intelligence is about. It's about, number one, self-awareness. Number two, self-control. Okay? So, the story I told you on the opening night, self-awareness. Yes, I knew I was in the front of that van grinding my teeth. Self-control? Last question. So you need both, self-awareness, self-control, and then the last piece of emotional intelligence is how is the way that you are acting impacting somebody else? So do you have, and so it's, I guess the shorthand for it is empathy. How much can you see that what you're doing is working with this player, or what you're doing is not working at all with this player, and then are you going to do something about it? Or, you know, the old way of coaching, I'm the coach, I'm mad, you deal with it. If you don't like it, you go play on another team. Figure it out. Okay? That gets you fired today. Right? You live it. Okay, 1 minute, one last question. Otherwise, let's just stop with getting fired today. We know how to do it. Now we have to figure out how to undo it. Thank you very much.